Hey guys, real quick before we get this one started, I just wanted to take a minute and thank some of you for visiting our store and supporting Galley Stories. It's greatly appreciated. Mr. Ryder, I hope you enjoyed that sweatshirt. Mr. Dwyer, the cup. Mr. Albino, I think you got about one of everything. Really appreciate it. Miss Lovelace, thank you. Mrs. Rhodes, thank you. Thank you any of you that are visiting that store, and I'll try to show some appreciation here whenever I can. Again, thank you for your support, and we will be at Pacific Marine Expo once again this year. If you guys want to come out and see us, we'd be happy to see you. So let's get into it.
National Fishermen and Pacific Marine Expo are proud supporters of the Galley Stories podcast, as we make similar efforts to highlight the people and topics that define commercial fishing. You can see what that looks like in print and online all year long, as well as every November in Seattle when this community comes together at PME. Check out nationalfisherman.com and pacificmarineexpo.com to learn more.
Hello and welcome to Galley Stories, stories of the Bering Sea and beyond, hosted by Mark Kaler. My name is Penka Jane, podcast deckhand and longtime listener. We'd thank you to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Here's today's catch.
Hello guys, welcome back to another installment of Galley Stories, stories of Bering Sea and beyond. I am your host, Mark Kaler. Today we have Nikola Mavar with us. How are you doing today, Nikola?
Good. Feel good.
Good. Where were you born? What year? And what brought you to commercial fishing?
I was born in Croatia on the island. It's called Dugi Otok. When you translate, is Long Island. And I went to school in Croatia for a while. I went technical school and junior college. And we were born on the farm. My dad had orchards, olive trees, and all the products that we have, we didn't buy anything. We have, for ourselves. And at the time, we used to fish just for ourselves. Have a little boat and go out, in the area. Long area there, and fish and bring home, and if we got more, we give neighbors or friends, everybody. It was a small town, it was 300-400 people, and everybody know each other when I was a kid out there. Mm-hmm. So everybody, if they need help, they help each other, or everybody was kind of friendly.
Mm-hmm. And so how did that progress into a commercial fishing career?
Okay, when I was 1957, I finished army too. I went in Bosnia in army there because over there it's obligated to go in army. When I was there, it was communist country that time. Either you go in army or you go in jail. And I went in Bosnia in 18 months. I was master sergeant. We built pontoons on the river, like an exercise for the army to build bridges on the pontoons. And after that, I left for Paris. And I was 2 years in Paris. After that, my uncle was in California, and he used to have tuna boat, and although when I came, he sold already. He used to fish in Mexico for tuna, and he wrote me a letter, he would like to come United States. And I said, yeah, why not? So when I came United States, I spent in California for a while, and I went to learn English. I went to junior college. And after that, I have aunt in Gig Harbor. Her name was Danica Oblak. That was my father's sister. And she said, would you like to come in Washington? There's fishing, here for sockeyes and so forth. And I said, yeah, I would. So in summertime, I came in Washington. And I went fishing Southeast Alaska with the same for somebody from Gig Harbor. And that's how I got introduced to the fishing. And after that, I got introduced in Bristol Bay to my friend from San Pedro, California, and he was already fishing 1963 in Alaska, Bristol Bay, and he said, that's a pretty good place to fish, why don't you come? And so I started fishing Bristol Bay in 1964.
Okay. Can I ask you a little bit more about you coming to America? Was it difficult at that time to get into the country? How did that work out?
It wasn't easy. I mean, like later on, you have to pass to a health test. When I was in American embassy in Paris, they ask you, you got paper to fill it out. Do you have insanity in your family? How healthy you are? You have to pass health tests too. And it's not like now. Well, maybe they have now different, but that time you have to pass all the questions about health, about what's your opinion about United States or something like that. Although I didn't speak English that time, I spoke French. So when I came from Paris, from Le Havre with the ship SS America, from Le Havre to New York, there was American students that studied in Paris, and they translated for me. When I came to New York, they said, don't worry, we translate for you to immigration and where to catch the plane to go to San Pedro, California, and that's how I got connected.
So you came over on a boat?
Yeah, in the ship SS America. It only took about 4 or 5 days. I think her speed was 24 miles an hour. One of the best ships. Maybe you're gonna see it. I don't know if I have picture, but my grandson put picture of on the TV, and you could see how beautiful boat was, what kind of accommodation, first class, second class, and so forth.
So, first introduction then was sailing here in Washington, or immediately up to Southeast?
First was in Washington first year. Actually, there was a Croatian guy who owned the boat, but who was in America very long time, and the boat name was Golden Gate. That was sailing there. And I fished here in Washington that year. Then later, I got introduced, like I told you, in Gig Harbor, and I went fishing with some of them from Tacoma in southeast Alaska for a year or two. Then after that, I started fishing in Bristol Bay.
And what was your role on these various vessels? Deckhand?
Yeah, mostly deckhand, but you know that in southeast Alaska, when I fished, I was almost only one that know how to man the net. Seiner was pretty hard for me to, to put together cork line, lead line, because I usually fish with small nets, like Bristol Bay, and my dad used to have tangle nets in Croatia. You put them on the bottom, there's a cork line on top and a lead line, so they call tangle nets, and you catch fish like bottom fish, like we call the red snapper or something like that. And that's how I learned. When I was young, I learned in Croatia how to fix, how to man the net and how to fix the net.
Probably made you a valuable asset on any boat if you can fix a net.
Yes.
So then going on to Bristol Bay, what was your first boat there, and how did you get on that boat?
My first boat that I fished wasn't my boat. I leased from red salmon, which my grandson is fishing now for red salmon, I think. And they used to call yellow bellies. There was all one color. and you lease the boat for percentage, whatever, and whatever you catch, they pay you less what you lease the boat for it.
So the canneries own the boats.
Cannery owned the boats, and there was only gas boat. They didn't allow I don't know why, they didn't allow the diesel engine beginning with, only gas engines. I always ask question, why not? Then after that, they put diesel because they said diesel smell is worse than gas. I don't know how that makes sense, but that was the thought at that time.
So your first introduction to Bristol Bay was going up and leasing a boat and you were captaining a boat.
Yes.
That had to be a little scary.
Yeah, that wasn't very easy, but guy fished with me from Anacortes. Recently he put on a website or something that I was one of the best skipper. I don't know why he said that, because we had leaky boat, wasn't a very good boat. Maybe he tried to be nice or something. But anyway, then my first boat was Brian and Jay, named after my kids. Was built in Seattle Commercial Marine, and was just shell of the boat. Engine was on it, and I brought to Anacortes, and my dad came in 1969, and we put the Lowbridge shipyard, used to be here, and he helped me to finish inside bunks, and mostly I did it, but he helped me, and I put electricity, lights, and everything else myself. I have more ambitions than I have not from beginning.
So
Yeah.
when you leased the boat, did you lease a permit as well, or how were the permits working back then?
Yeah, and you have to lease permit there too. Well, actually, permits came later. Year 1960. In 1960, if you have enough points for permit, you qualify. You have to have like 16 or 18 points to qualify for permit. That was.
How did you earn the points?
You own the points, how many years you were there, and if you're on the boat or if you're not on the boat, they give you so many points for that. That's why I understood, how I understood.
Where'd you go on from there?
Then after Brian and Jay, I started fishing for king salmon. I used to go in Nushikek alone for 15, 20 years. And I remember one time there was only a Norwegian guy that left from Naknek to Nushikek. We were only one that came from Naknek and fishing kings. And I think that year I made more on the kings than I make on sockeye, because those years sockeye wasn't that much in Bristol Bay because it was interrupted by foreign fisheries. We didn't have a 200 miles limit. There was only 8 miles for foreign fleet to get our fish from Bristol Bay. That's why in 70s we have very poor season because they intercept Japanese. There was even Koreans and the rest of the foreigners that took our fish that's supposed to go to our rivers and our streams. Then that time we were trying to call our representatives. Actually, Representative Swift came in my house in Anacortes, and we were lobbying for 200 miles limit. And Gordon in Seattle, Senator Gordon, I went in his office too, because I was kind of from beginning representative of AFMA, which is Alaska Fishermen Marketing Association. And then after 200 miles limit, we start to get fish. 1970s, almost done. There was no fish there. 1973, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 79 came so much fish. I think I had 35,000 pounds, but they paid $1 per fish that time. I think
$1 a fish.
$1 a fish. No 5 pounds, but per fish. Which is quite a money if you, at that time, if you got 35,000, 135,000 fish, that could be what, $15,000-$20,000 probably. You pay for a pound fish, so you can divide it. That would be that kind of money.
So not bad.
Not bad at all.
So did you do other fisheries in between Bristol Bay, or what did you?
I did in Puget Sound. I shipped my boat in 1970, Brian and Jay, because Superintendent told me from Fidalgo, Nick, Bristol Bay looked like his dad. There won't be no fish much in 70s. You can ship boat in Puget Sound and fish there. And I fished with Brian and Jay a few years here, which I used to bring my kids in it too, Johnny and Nicky or Brian sometime. And it wasn't easy fishing here in Puget Sound. It was even worse than Alaska because you have ships, you got fog in nighttime, and we didn't have much equipment. You have compass, we didn't have radar or anything that time. So it was a little bit difficult fishing here, but we did okay here.
How old were your boys when you started taking them fishing with you?
Well, I think my older boy Brian, which he's fishing now for pollock, he's skipper on the bigger boat for pollock. He was 9 years old when he started. We went to Egikek, I remember, in Egikek on inside Egikek, there was not that much fish, but he was he was on the stern. We didn't have a reel that time. We had to pull by hands. But then after that, all three boys were one time with me and with Brian and Jay, and we were fishing in the west side, and I put fiber fish, which I shouldn't, but you're greedy when you fish them. I put on the stern, and water started to come over, and a friend of mine, Ron Peterson, probably you heard about him. He said, Nick, I'm gonna go with you to the other side to Peterson Point there, because you're taking water in the stern and you are with the kids, and they're gonna get scared when water is coming on the top. So he followed me all the way to east side till I came over there, and we were okay. We unload fish, big fish, and unload, and that was fine. But the kids were fishing with me. Sometimes they took off from the school even a week or two before school was over, because I think Johnny was fishing kings one time in Nushikek with me, and Nicky, I don't remember Brian was, but Nicky was fishing with me a couple of times, and they used to pay us cash for it. And Nicky came on the boat that year, and I used to put cash something under the boards, and he found $100 or $200. He said, Dad, can I keep this? Of course, he finally keep it, $200, which for a kid was a lot from school, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But one year, I think we were on the strike in Naknek, and I made more money on the kings than we made on the sockeyes. And
Boy, those days have changed, haven't they?
Oh yeah. Now they mostly commercially, sports fishermen fish kings. There are not that many kings there for the commercially.
Yeah, they actually hold us off quite a bit until they get what they feel like is a decent number. So.
Right.
So, how many years in Bristol Bay then?
In Bristol Bay, I would say 50 years that I fished there.
50 years. When's the last year you fished it?
Last year I was 80, and I'm 92 now. Really.
So 12 years ago, just not very long ago.
Yeah, not very long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I will still enjoy. I mentally and everything. I don't know physically if I can, but you know that I have wished to still fish there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just fishing; it's friends and camaraderie and everybody, skippers that you know, and the other guys, and natives, and all put together. It's kind of more exciting than.
I bet you there's a couple guys in this room right now that would probably be happier than hell to have you come out on their boats.
Yeah. Hunter said, "I wish I was old enough to fish with you, Dida." Dida is a grandpa there in Croatia, Dida. So he called me Dida. All my grandkids call me Dida. D-I-D-A.
D-I-D-A.
Yeah, that's Dida.
Can you tell us a bit, because you've been around a long time, can you tell us how you've seen not just the Bristol Bay fishery, but fishing equipment-wise, and just the things that have changed?
Things changed quite a bit in the fisheries. When we used to, from beginning, there was not that much competition among fishermen. Everybody kept their spot, and you could fish west side, east side in Bristol Bay, and you choose your side. Now, young people came in it, and it's a lot of different kind of competition. And I remember when we were in Egikek, Italian guy, there was a lot of Italians that fished there in Egikek too. So he went over my net, he cut my net, and accidentally, because it was, fish, a lot of fish running around. And he came to me, he said, "Don't worry, Nick, I'm going to pay you for your net." And when we came in Canada, he gave me a brand new net. I don't think they do right now, but there was more, I think there was more respect in all the days for fishermen than is right now, because of competition now and everything else that goes on.
Can you recall what was your best day on the water?
Bass fishing time?
Best day, whether it's fishing or anything else.
I think best day was when my kids was fishing with me over there, and we, I think it was Brian and Jay, and we loaded the boat, and all my boys were with Nick and John and Brian, and they were so happy, and being with them same time and see them happy with it make me so happy too. So that was.
What's been your worst day on the water?
Worst day on the water, when I fish in Egikek, and I had Brian and Jade, and I had blue. Next boat was Blue Adriatic. That was built in La Conner. And when I load gas, on the barge, or I think it was from King Car boat that was fishing winter time, and they had those tanks, spare tank, that probably accumulate water, and they give me water with the fuel. And I came to Egikek, I had to go on Coffee Point, I have to clean everything, and there was damage, of course, to the engine too, but I managed to clean everything up in a few days, and I went fishing, but I lost 3-4 days of fishing, and guy told me, you can get what you lost. There was an attorney that was there, and he said, if they give you water, you can get paid for it, how much you lost 3 or 4 days, and how much you usually can catch on the, which was about $30,000, and they pay me for my time loss.
Good, good. What out of all these years, what would you say the sea has given to you?
What was that again?
What do you think, if you could just briefly describe what the sea has given to you?
I think I was happiest man when I am on the sea, because I see it's up to you, and there's only God there. That's why I'm religious. I'm not too religious, I mean, to tell other people, but I was born Catholic, Roman Catholics, you know, and Croatians were Catholics almost 2,000 years because we lived close to the Rome. And even on the kings, first king Tomislav he was crowned by Pope too as a king. So, where was I? I got lost into religion.
You're what the sea has given you out there with God.
I'm happiest when I am on the sea because everything's up to you. Nobody else is there. There is a nature. There is whether it's bad weather, whether it's good weather, is all about what you're gonna make out of it, mentally and physically. And in that environment, I felt at that time, and still I remember I felt so good about myself, about surrounding, about where I am in this space of life.
Mm-hmm. What has the sea taken away from you?
Sea, I miss it a lot. I miss sea. Take away from me. I fish king crab too in Kodiak, and all guys that fish with me, they got all lost on the boat. Of course, every one of them, that 3 or 4 of them that I know, they died on the boats. 1968, there was boats that came from wood boats that they fish in Kodiak, and they used to fish tuna in California. But that kind of sea is different than it's in Alaska, and they were not made for that kind of sea. So we lost 2 or 3 boats in Kodiak in 1 year. I remember I was with the name Boris Olic. That was his boat was sunk, and there was blowing about 80 or 90 mile wind, and the guy behind said, Boris, can you turn around and help us? I think I'm break down. And my skipper said, I can't. If I turn around, my boat gonna be over, because it was blowing about 90 miles. Now our boat was about 80, 90 feet.
Was that a wooden boat too, that you were in?
Yeah, that was wood boat. But what happened to that skipper, the crew went on the deck, and wind and waves cleaned them up from the deck. They all washed out. I don't remember the name of the skipper, but when he came to Kodiak, he was so upset. I know, probably getting mental stage 2. He quit fishing. He never went on the sea anymore, because it was pretty. I remember the episode because I was there, and he never went fishing again.
Well, that'd be a tough.
Yeah, that was tough mental break for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Nikola, thanks for sharing your story today. Do you have anything else you'd like to cover?
Alaska? Can I tell you about history of Alaska?
Sure.
You know, what I learned, first governor before became a state was Croatian guy. Governor name was Stepovic from Croatia. Before Sarah Palin was popular. And he came as an immigrant, because Croatians are first fishermen in Anacortes. You go by the ferry, you can see picture over there. Historians put picture of the guys who came from Croatia and Norway, and there's their picture that cannery used to be by. There's only poles now, and they were fishing. They came from Croatia and Norway, and they were fishing that time on the cannery there. So there's a long history of Croatian fishing, whether it's Alaska, whether it's here. That's why I'm talking about Stepovic, that he was early immigrant that came from Croatia. That was way before my time.
Sounds like you have a lot of pride in your heritage.
Yeah, I do, yes.
Good.
Croatia have a lot of history because when they occupied the land, everybody, they are on the beautiful sea over there. And there was Italy on the south side, there's Hungary and Austria on north, and everybody tried to take a piece of it because they are blocking everybody on east side. By Italy, it was always pretension, tried to take Croatia over the years. Mm-hmm. But Croatians are good fighters. 1995, we were there when, you remember when Serbians attacked Croatia after Croatia declared independence? Clinton was president at the time, but they were killing a lot of people in Bosnia, Herzegovina, and northern Croatia. They took about 1/3 of Croatian territory, and Clinton said that's enough. He gave them 75 hours to take 1/3 of the territory. And I just came in, my wife and my daughter, I have daughter too, Colleen, in Split on the airport, and I heard some of the, must be CIA or somebody, Americans talking, among themselves. I said, something gonna happen. And they closed the airport that day, and in 75 hours, Croatians took 1/3 of Croatian territory. Even American general said that's very impressive for people down.
Yeah, well, fighting for your homeland, I think,
right,
brings a little extra to it, right?
Yeah, homeland. There was a lot of volunteers, young guys. Although a lot of young guys died, about 8,000 or 10,000 guys to fight that.
Do you ever go back and visit?
I was there last year. We hope that we're gonna go next year.
Did you go back to your childhood home?
Yes. Actually, I wrote history, which Hunter helped me to, about Croatia and my young days, how I came here, all the way to here. So I think gonna be good.
Is it going to be a book?
Yeah.
Look forward to that one.
Yeah. When it's done, I think his mother, she's excellent in English. She's gonna put together and edit it and something, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
You think we have enough about Alaska?
I think that you've got a very unique story, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed Alaska very much because now we're not just fishing, but it was camaraderie. There was friends and natives, and I love Eskimos because they never get mad. They always smile. Whether we used to tie up. If you remember, I don't know if you know slough. When you go in bandits on slough in Nushike, we used to anchor boats over there. And when it's calm weather, you anchor the boats because you cannot catch kings. When it's blowing 30, 40 miles, you go out. And a friend of mine, father came from Croatia, said, You guys are crazy. In Croatia, when it's blowing, we go in the port and you going out. When it's, I said that's how you catch kings. You have to have 25, 35 miles wind because they come out. Otherwise, they stay deep if it's calm weather. But he was so surprised. He said, "You guys going out when it's blowing?" And we stay in Croatia.
What was your last boat in Bristol Bay?
Miss Colleen.
I know the boat.
I'm going to show you some pictures. There was 3 boats I had. That was Brian and Jay, Blue Adriatic, and Miss Colleen. You can see Nick, me, and his son there. You remember Nick?
Oh, yeah.
That's his son, Miles, and me. And this is recently taken.
Yeah, I just saw the boat here this summer in the yard.
This is Nick when he was in Northwest and
Mm-hmm.
taking picture in Alaska when he came from Bristol Bay.
Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up there on this one. And
You think it's on? It's
I
okay.
think it's good. And we'll give it just a couple minutes here, guys, and then we're going to move right into Johnny. So stand by. So, guys, if you can't tell, we're doing 3 generations of the Mavar family today. So, next up, we've got Johnny Mavar. Johnny, how are you?
I'm great.
Where were you born? When were you born? And what was your introduction? Although we kind of know the introduction, but let's hear it in your words.
I was the first Mavar of for this family born in Anacortes, and I was born in the old hospital, the last one to be born there, and the first one to have a library card because they turned it into the new library after that. I was born in '66 here in Anacortes. My dad is Nick Mavar, Senior. I have Brian Mavar, who's my oldest brother. Nick Mavar, who's passed last year, is 1 year older than me. And we have a sister, Colleen, that's 10 years younger. I started fishing, probably the first time I picked a needle up was Dad was hanging gear when I was quite young. I probably 7 or 8, and he'd give me a nickel for every needle that I wound for him, and then I'd go out fishing with him every once in a while out here in Puget Sound for sockeyes and kings, and just it gets in your blood to get out on the water, and the community of fishermen, and the desire to make good, quick money and meet good people. I went to school here in Anacortes. I started fishing in 1980 with my dad, and he had just built a new boat called a Blue Adriatic. It's a 32-foot Roberts, and that season they were talking about striking, which did happen, so we went king fishing in the Nush. So my first fishing in Alaska was in the Nush, and we were having a killer season of kings. I think we caught like 20,000 pounds of kings, and we were starting to get some reds in the gear, and AFA said, you guys are catching too many reds. They wanted us to stop. I mean, this is around probably the 4th of July. So my dad on the Blue Adriatic and his best friend Vlatko Kolega on this, I can't remember his name of his boat, but it was a little older rosin. And we took off from the Nush to go back to Naknek, and we got in a big storm. And I'm in like 8th grade, and scared, sick, sitting in the bunk on the bow, going up, hitting the ceiling, coming down, crying, praying that I get to see my little sweetie Christian beavers. We're gonna make it, and every time I'd look up out of the window, I could see Vlatko's boat, and there were like 15 footers. And I was talking to him on the radio. I hope we make it. I think it took us like 16 hours to get back to Naknek, and when I'd see his boat going in front of us, you could see the prop, the whole boat coming out of the water, coming back down. I was scared. But that was my first year, 1980. And we fished for Trident Seafoods, I think, was just going from Whitney, Fidalgo to Trident. And there was a strike that year. So I got to see some of that, anger, people fishing. We struck till like the 10th of July. The season's almost over. And just you saw people that had new boats, permits, had to make their payments, and this other stand is that we need a price that we can live off of, and nobody ever won. I mean, it was I don't know, it's just kind of futile, a fishery like that, where the fish are going up to spawn, and you've got such a limited time, so never really worked. And anyway, I did that in the summers till college age. I went to Western, and one of the Croatians out of Bellingham had a seiner, the Patty Lou, and he also had a Bristol Bay boat, so we would fish Bristol Bay. I would fishing with my dad, and then we'd fly down to Craig or wherever the boat was, Ketchikan, and we'd go seining. And we went to Valdez, fished the year before the oil spill there, and down in Puget Sound. It was a good little gig for my college years. And I think after I graduated, it took me an extra year or two because I took some falls off and some springs off and went herring fishing with Dad in Togiak once. Last time I ever did it. And
you were herring?
Yeah, we went herring and I think we got 20 tons. The price was, there was a lot of boats, but we didn't get good row. We got paid for bait. We didn't make any money, and it was an experience to see. It's kind of fun fishery. Some of the guys like it. Back in the later years when there's less boats and more fish for each boat, they kind of enjoyed it, but I didn't. So after I graduated from Bellingham, I was interested in the pollock fishery and what was happening with Americanization of the biomass, the product, and I took some business courses. One of my business plans was to try to get a factory ship. Dad used to develop here in Skyline, and he had a consortium of Chinese friends. Steve Chung was his partner.
I'm going to show you Croatian way I put name of the street that I developed.
Yeah, and so trying to get some money to get some people together couldn't convince Steve Chung, because he was a professor from China, and at that time as communist you couldn't come over here unless one way you could is if you were a teacher. So he had a lot of their money back from him. So what he said, and anyway, he didn't bite on that. But later on, after he saw what happened to the fishery, he said, Johnny was right, He was right. Anyway, so in, I think it was like early 90s, one of my dad's best friends, the Sands, who developed a lot of this, developed it in Skyline. His wife was a secretary for Francis Miller in Arctic Alaska. So I tried to get a job with them, and then I tried to get a job with Trident, and I ended up going with Trident. And I was still fishing at that time, and I wanted to get into sales, and they saw that my fishing background in later years, Paul Padgett and those guys said, they're never going to let you go in sales, Johnny, but you'll always have a job in Alaska. So they sent me up to Akitam, and I worked up there for quite a few years, basically lived up there, got residency.
What was your role there?
I was a production foreman, mostly for crab, but also in the Paul factory down below for surimi, and they did the IFQ. It was completely different than what you saw in Bristol Bay at that time. There was a lot of canning, some frozen, but everything was pretty much frozen there. So I got to learn about how to IFQ crab, salmon. I see there in Akitan, and I also at some point went to Sandpoint. You see every product, you see every boat, and it was a broad way to see the fishery, and so I got to see what I would actually want to do if I was to get on a boat, and what I didn't want to do. So I got my residency there. One of Dad's friends, Ron Peterson, he's like, Johnny, if you want to get into the bay and do it on your own, get your residency up there in Alaska, and they'll use the permit as collateral. It's the only place they'll do that, And at that time, a permit was like $200,000. It was a lot of money. And so I did, and after a couple of years, I applied for a loan. I got an old boat called the Able Mabel, and I got a permit for $200,000. The boat was worth about $20,000, soaking wet. And I fished the first year. We didn't do well. We broke down a lot, struggled. I was married at that time. I had a son on the way, Hunter was coming. And Tim, who you interviewed earlier, was a crabber in Bohemia. He was looking for a job. And he came with me, and instantly we changed what we were doing. I took some advice from Jim Parker, who's still a good friend of mine. He's like, Johnny, take that boat and cut the middle hatches out, put a reel down low, raise the hatches. Told me all the things I should do to make this thing effective. At that time, the reel, you had a space between probably 3 feet from the stern roller to the reel on the back deck. And the change from the power roller, stern roller, to the reel had copper lines, not even a valve. You had to get out a wrench and undo one to change from the stern roller. So it wasn't. He was doing it at a different pace. So we made those changes, put a pipe fly bridge on it, and instantly I started catching fish, taking advice from some of the Everett guys. Jim, it's like, follow this guy, do what he does. Go to Eggy-Gick. You always make it see stick and stay, make it pay. And I did. And
That'd be nice to have Tim Willis on the boat, though.
Tim we called him the Magic Man, because he was an amazing engineer. and very. He explains things very, very well, and very capable, and breath of fresh air. It was great to have Tim on board. And I took in my time in the winter, I met Scott McLean Chester, and he came with me. He was an AA'er, and so I had him and Tim for a couple, 3 years, and then after that, I'd always let my crew pick, who we wanted the third guy. And Scott always wanted an AA'er, so for 10 years I had guys that I didn't have to worry about drinking or drugging on the boat, which is a huge plus in the fishery. And had some good seasons with that boat on the North Marker. I put 1/2-inch cable around it, turnbuckles, and tires on it. It was.
That was able, disabled.
First year they called me disabled, able, and then after that we were able, and after a certain amount of years, there was nobody beat me on the south side. I was the self-proclaimed king of the south side as far as production. Had some good years. North side guys beat me, Bird Dog and some of those guys have already but I did well on the south side as far as the fleet. One story with the Able Mabel. We were fishing and we were on the flats there, and we had some weather, and we started hitting bottom, had fish on, and we didn't think a lot of it. We got out of it, but later on we were sitting on the south line, and we had wood covers over the shaft in that area, and there was a plug down there with a handle on it. Well, the wood came off with the reel in the middle, and the net grabbed the plug and yanked it out of the boat. We were sinking, and other guys called them on the radio, "Hey, we're sinking." I specifically remember Tim coming down. We had 2 boats on each side, bucket brigade, pumps. Tim looking down at me, watching this water come in, and he said, "John, should we let it go?" I go, "Tim, we can't let it go. It's June 25th. We're not going to make any money if we let it go." So we got it plugged. My buddy, Vince Hoiby, dove. He had his dive gear on. Dove with glove, splash on, jammed it from below. We stuck a piece of wood directly down from the top in between the stringers and screwed in a piece of wood in there to keep it from water from coming that way. And we took off for Naknek. And we get to the dock on the south side, and to this day, we get to the dock, and the port engineer, Dan Sampson, he was he came from Mercedes, a mechanic background, and now he's a port engineer working for Brad Markinson. And he goes, "What's my next job? Go down and get on the Able Mabel and bring a trash pump." Well, he doesn't know what a trash pump is. And he goes down there, he comes down, gets on, and I go, "Okay, let the lines go. We gotta get they're pulling somebody else out. We gotta go." And we're driving in the river, and he goes, "What's wrong?" "We're sinking." He said, "What?" And that's a story we still have to this day. But they pull us up. They said, "Well, your distributor's going to go, your carburetor's probably going to go, your points, plugs, condensers." Gave us all the spare parts, put a new plug in, and we took off for 88. And we had other people's supplies, mail, and and we're coming in, and there's an opening. There's a big opening, and we're getting to the north marker, and I can start to hear the guys, and I'm say, hey, we're going. Hey, it's Johnny. It's Abel Mabel. He's got our mail and our beer. He goes, you're here, but everybody's fishing the south line. They're getting some fish, and I see a couple jumpers on the north marker. There's nobody there. Let's set it. We plugged the boat. We were just like as much fish as we could get. So we're sinking the day before. We're pulling up to the tenders, throwing the guys their mail, and we were sinking the day before. It was quite a story on that one. But yeah.
Would that be your best day at sea and your worst day at sea combined?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was the feeling of Tim coming down, and you don't really, even though it's a $20,000 boat, and you still have heart in it. It makes you emotional to think you're going to let your boat go. That's probably the closest I ever came to sinking. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But so we did that that was 90. Been running my own boat since 93, and I was pretty upside down after 96. Tim told his story that he bought his permit with a credit card for $25,000 and it was probably 2000 or 98. So I was still working for Trident in Accutan. At that point, after I got married, they'd bought the plant there in St. Paul. And Paul Pagic always liked me and said, Johnny, you're our best crab process foreman. Go up there and we want to change it to our way, and we're not going to fire anybody. We're just going to let people go through attrition. And so I got to see that plant, and at that time it was the state of the art with the automatic butchering machines, and they could do 300,000 in a day. It was different experience than down in Accutan. The weather's much more extreme, cold. You have heaters in the hoppers and guys pulling the brailer bag in there in suits, looking like popsicles up in there. And and then one of the engineers is Ferguson. You work with all the engineers, the dock, the office is a foreman, and now his brother is actually the governor in Washington.
So John Ferguson.
Yeah, John Ferguson. Yep. Yeah, and anyway, had some stories from there. They kept me there after the season was over, and the plant was like The Shining. There's probably 4 of us there, a cook, because they did some outside meals for yachts and fleets that would come in with looking for bird watching, and so brought up my wife Tracy at that time, Hunter's mom, and he was going around the empty halls in a stroller. And I remember a time they had a couple boats that had sank, and they had Lloyd's of London investigator up there and a helicopter pilot, and Tracy's charming and beautiful, and got the copter pilot to take me and her and Hunter on a little trip around St. Paul. And we stopped on a secluded beach, and we wrote his name in big letters, and so you could see it from the sky. It's pretty cool. So he was probably 1 year old. And that was a cool experience to see that. And at that time, they had a plant that was it was probably half a mile from the port. They started that there, and then they built the plant in Trident and buying it. So we're getting rid of that. They were still processing some crab over there, bringing crab and brailers and over to the. So they were familiar with loading crab on flatbeds and bringing it to the plant. And there was a king crab boat that was stuck on the spit, and we brought over extended booms and groves, and we put cable and brought it out to the ship and tried to keep the crab alive and process them. And we brought them over on a wire and saved all the crab. And
So they were hooking the brailers up to the wire?
yeah, the wire.
Sliding it over the dock?
Yeah. There was no dock. We were on the spit. We were out in the,
Oh, yeah.
on the road, off the road. And yeah, it was,
That's kind of a cool story.
yeah, there was, we got some good stories. Got some good stories. So my time in Yakutan, I got to see all the crab boats. I jumped on all of them. Draggers, I knew all of them. And one of my favorite boats was the Lady Anne with Bill the Bow. And I think Chuck and Diane, we were struggling at that time. So we were all doing something in the winter. And Bird Dog and got hired on with Diane and Chuck to go with Bill. He's a good fisherman. He'll make money. Bear Dye Bill. And so Nick, that was one of Nick's first boats. His first boat was on the Northwind with Rasmussen, who Carl is still a good friend of, was a good friend of Nick's and his dad. And so after a couple years, I needed to be home with Hunter, and I was building in town, and I was when Christmas time, and Nick's at the table and he's talking to Bill, and we're looking for a half share guy, and Tracy goes, John wants to go, make good money, and so that was the first year I went opie fishing with Bill and my brother Nick, and we did make good money. Hard work, but that was my introduction into crab fishing. Fished on that boat for a while, and then in later years I fished on the Far West Leader for about 10 years with Greg Moncrief and all the different crews we had. There's still, I mean, your crab buddies that you fish with will become most of the time your good friends, people you can talk to, call at any time. Same like your salmon fishing buddies. But yeah, that's how I got into crab fishing, and fished a little down here. My first boat was actually the Quest. They had a 30-foot Roberts down here. Fished, Reds and Kings and down there, and for silvers and dogs, and they strapped me with Johnny Quest, and my crew was always Haji, Dogs Bandit, and yeah, that was my first boat. And then after a couple years in Akutan, I got a loan and got into the bay in '93, and I've been doing it ever since. Good, the bad, and but it's
Bad and good.
bad and good. It's been entertaining. It's been a fun adventure.
Would you change anything?
I know. That's a good question. I don't know. I got divorced after 5 years with with Hunter's mom, and being away is hard. It's not being away from home and your family. Your family gets lonely, and you may be providing one way, but you can't bring. And those are the days when you're talking on the. You have to talk. You pay by the minutes over the radio with your family. You don't talk much. You might be standing in a payphone line for an hour, and the guy right before you breaks the phone off the hook, and you don't get the call home. Those are the days. But yeah, had lots of stories. I remember going there, tried and said, hey. The office manager in Dutch wants to go on vacation for a month. You can run the office, and sure, you give me a company credit card to pick up processors that are stuck in Dutch, and you got to feed them and house them. And one of my buddies, Botter Tech, came into town and took her for pizza. In my very first year or second year, I got a ticket in the bay, right? And I paid half of it, and I said, "Well, I'll pay it, half by this," and I didn't. So I locked the keys in the truck at Dormery's, and they go, "Call the police; they'll come and lock your car." Well, they took my ID and like, "Oh, you're going to jail." So by the time I got out of jail in the morning, it was already down in the Seattle office. Oh, your office manager is in jail, and the judge was a woman, probably about 8 months pregnant. She had all my paperwork in front of her, and she said, "John, all you have to do is call us or write us a letter and say, give me more time to pay." So it was kind of an innocent way to get a mugshot in Dutch. Yeah, that's so. Yeah. So that's kind of a lot of my story. Come from a Croatian family of fishermen. My sister's life partner is a dragger in town. This community's pretty much been built up and started by fishermen back in the day, and that was. That's how we got into it, and we have the Croatian club down in Anacortes. You're invited to come down for a dinner. We do it once a month.
And I was first president, don't forget.
Dad was first president
I
of the
was
Croatian club.
instrumental to build that.
And they put me on the board once, and you always had to do something, either you cook or wash dishes, and I'm like, can I be the bartender? Everybody loves a bartender, so I do that. All the Croatians when they come through the door, they want you to open the wine in front of them, so you're opening up 100 bottles of wine in about 20 minutes on the way in before dinner, and the Catholic priest would come and bless the fleet in the spring. We'd always do a couple lambs and a pig, and have an authentic Croatian band come in, and we don't solicit people in. It's word of mouth, or we give letters, and it's a good, wholesome environment for people to be around. And
what is your favorite Croatian dish?
Oh, wow! They're very simple dishes, but pasta rjol. I love pasta rjoli.
How about mine on the boat when I was
Brudette. Oh, Dad's brudette is amazing. It's a
cipino.
cipino, like a cipino.
Everybody used to smell it, and bird dog, and everybody come. I said, we got 4 boats in family. If it's left over, you can eat it.
I want to give my dad the credit for the man that he is. He's a legend, and all the people that know him or wish that he was their dad. He's a dad to everybody. He was up there into his 70s, and he's quite the staple. There isn't a bad word come out of his mouth, and you'll see kids that don't like adults, and they'll put their arms up in the air to him when they see him down the dock. So he's quite a man. He's done a lot of things in his life, and he deserves a lot of acclimates. Good man.
John, thank you, but I know how to say. It's okay. Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to share, John?
I think that's kind of wraps it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll dive on into Hunter.
Hunter, you.
So again, guys,
I'll see.
three generations of the Mavar family here today.
We own your lunch after this.
So guys, we'll continue on, and we have Hunter Mavar. Hunter, how are you?
I'm good.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in Ballard Hospital in Seattle, 1995, September 7th. And yeah.
What was your first commercial fishing experience?
So when I was younger, I didn't go as early as these guys. I'd always hear stories about the bay. My grandpa would always say, "Oh, I can't wait till you're out there, and we'll be talking on the radio and all that." And my dad was always trying to get me up there at a young age. But I don't know. Like my dad said, my parents got divorced when I was really young, so I only saw Dad about 9 months or 3 months out of the year, and not full time. So maybe I was sheltered a little bit. And it didn't really seem appealing to me, and I definitely didn't know the value of a dollar. I was little spoiled. So yeah, I guess I dropped out of high school when I was a junior, and my options kind of started dwindling. But yeah, I needed to make money, and so I was basically then I was staying at my dad's house, and it was basically, well, you're staying here, you're coming to the bay with me, So I came up full season.
What year was that?
That was I got a tattoo here. 2014. So yeah, I came up with Dad, and I had a lot of fun. I definitely wasn't. I made a very small percentage. I was more there just to be there and to watch and stuff. But I had a lot of fun because I'd only heard stories. I never actually been there, and this was the south side before they closed it down. So it was really small community. There was the Pit, little bar there, restaurant that everyone got together, and I saw Uncle Tim and Canyon and all my uncles and my dad, and saw how everything went, and how I was really surprised by how respected they were there, and I had a ton of fun. Yeah, it was a little rocky. I think that me and my dad never had that. We didn't really spend a lot of time together, So there was that bonding, and it was a little rocky. But I made it the whole season, and I came up the next year, and I had a little bit more ambition next year, and I knew I kind of did poor, and I wanted to kind of redeem myself. I was like waiting for it the entire year. I remember, like, can't wait. My dad said, because my first year actually, we fished 3 different boats. A few weeks into the season, we blew the main on the Hunter C. And my dad, he went all the way out to Dillingham, I believe peak season?
No, beginning of the season.
So it was, yeah, right before peak. Went out to Dillingham, bought a boat on the spot because my dad's just a badass like that. And fished on that boat, and we made it almost the whole season, but blew a main in there. And so we leased the Mary Kay, finished the season off, and So there's a lot to do the next year. So I came up a month early and helped my dad, just, whatever he needed. And the season, about, I think it was July 3rd, so maybe right at the beginning of peak. We had one of those articulating reels, so it's controlled by a lever. It goes up and down and directly onto the deck when it's down. And we were catching a lot of fish, and it was really intense. And I think one of our crew members, he had a little strap on his rain gear. We went in to pick a fish in the net, and it got caught on that lever and went all the way down. And I was under there kicking fish, and it happened so fast. But I just remember like this pain was really foreign. I didn't it was the pain I wouldn't wish upon anybody. Instantly just broken, and I just remember looking up on the fly bridge, and just the look on my dad's face was just like sheer terror.
So you got caught on the net?
No. I had the articulating drum or reel, I fall like my leg was caught in between the level wind or whatever and the steel deck, like 5,000 pounds or whatever it is. So just crushed. And we're on the north line out there in Agagik. So it was a journey just to get to the hospital. I remember I had to cross over to one of the Kvichak boats, and we're a little boat, so it was kind of a little bit of a little higher up, and they had to swing. They're like, it's really important that you do everything you can to make it, because you only get that one swing, And I made it to that boat, and then they got me into another little skiff. I made it to the beach, took a helicopter or a plane or something, and got there. And I remember last thing I said to my dad before he sent me off was hey, don't stop fishing. I mean, when a human being is in a situation where, I thought I was going to lose my leg. Like, I had no circulation or nothing. When you're in that kind of situation, your heart comes out. And I meant what I said. I was like, don't stop fishing, because there's nothing you can do. It's just when tragedy or something like that happens, how do you respond to it? So, but I ended up making it to the hospital, and my toes, I was able to move my toes, so that was, I overheard nurses saying, like, this is not good, like, we're probably going to have to cut this thing off. And so when I was able to start moving my toes, it was a huge relief. There wasn't an immediate doctor. A hand doctor comes in here, and he goes, I can do it, but I'm just telling you right now, I'm a hand doctor. Dr. Swagger is on vacation right now, but he'll be here in 4 days, and I'm all pumped up on morphine or whatever they're giving me. And I'm like, Dr. Swagger, I'll take him. I like that. So I waited. My mom took the first flight she could, and she was there within 24 hours just by my side. And
actually, I called her to fly.
Oh yeah, told her. I remember I was really optimistic through the whole thing. I thought, if I lose my leg.
And you see none of it there.
Oh, that was crazy. Okay, that was a very spiritual experience, whether you believe in God or not. So when I was a kid, I did First Communion. Went to Catholic school at St. Mary's in Anacortes, and I was a problem child. I got very angry. I couldn't control my emotions, and there were a lot of people that might have demonized me or whatever. But Dita was like my light in my life. But when I was at St. Mary's, there was this nun that really saw me for me, and was just always super happy to see me, and she just loved me. Well, she relocated, and I hadn't seen her in 10 years. And I'm sitting in that hospital bed, and like I'm pumped up on morphine or whatever, you know, just right after it happened, right as I'm anticipating the surgery actually. And I see this nun, like this is like something straight out of a movie. Just
Sister Genevieve.
Sister Genevieve, yeah.
From Africa.
She still asked me yesterday about you.
I'm just in this bed alone. I see this nun like walking through. I go, am I hallucinating? I swear to God, I just saw Sister Genevieve. It was really weird. And then a couple hours later, this nun comes in. It's like, oh, Hunter, I saw that you were on the list. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Anywhere in the world you could be relocated. You're here, and you just happen to like see and it was just one of those things you can't explain. But the surgery went well. I still have the metal plate here. Yeah, it was about 3 months until I could walk, but I made it, and I went back the next year, and then as far as the fishing went, kind of want to talk a little bit about the mentality of a fisherman. I was kind of a privileged kid, and so I didn't really you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that come with fishing. It breaks you, and it's just like your true self will come out, you know, when you're on a boat, when you're sleep deprived, when you're hungry, when you're tired to the point where you just, you know, so that was something that about halfway through the season I would finish the whole season, but I would, you know, I'd get kind of irritable at the end or whatever, be emotional or whatever. And then I went fishing with my Uncle Nick, and I didn't make it, so I quit on him, quit on my family, and I was going through addiction at the time, so maybe that had something to do with it too, a little bit. But yeah, I quit on him, and so then at the time I hated fishing. You know, I didn't like it, and couldn't handle it really. And then I went out into the real world, and I worked 9 to 5s, and I could barely pay my rent, and dealing with addiction and all that, and in between there were some dark times with substance abuse and alcohol and stuff. I'm sober now, 2 years actually, but I had everything. Just I lost my apartment, I lost, you know, friends, and just I went to the hospital actually. Had to check myself into rehab, and then a couple years later, Nick really needed a guy, and he gave me a second chance. And that second chance, the timing of everything was just the way it needed to be. When I got that second chance, every year, just my life has just been getting better, and I was told to really keep it simple, because at this point, I really did carry that on my shoulder. I quit on him, and I was a quitter, and I'd always be a quitter, and it really was ingrained in my psyche. And so I remember Dida telling me, like, hey, Nick said he wants you up there. I was really surprised he was giving me a job, but and then it was just a peak the first year, you know, 2-3 weeks or whatever. Ended up dragging into a month, but Dida said just be positive and do what you're told. So that was the mindset. Just listen, do your job, and keep it simple. And I did it. And me and my uncle just really, I never really bonded with him prior to that, you know. But we were good for each other. And yeah, he believed in me. He gave me that shot, and so I went up with him the next year and price was shitty, but we caught a lot of fish, and he was having some crew issues too, some really bad ones. And there were the guys were drinking and all that, disrespecting him, and I was just this rock. I was not completely sober at that point as far as alcohol, but I would still stay on the boat with him and watch movies and make sure he didn't feel like he was missing out or any of that, just emotionally for him, and that's that second chance he gave me changed everything. The first year, because I had been in debt the entire time when I stopped fishing. I was always used to that instant money, and always had money, and you realize that when you don't fish, it's fucking like it's hard, But first year I paid off all my debt. And second year, I got in a car that I'd take to the mountain. I go snowboarding, seasons pass, and now I finally, later on, I had an apartment earlier, but now I got my own place. I'm completely independent and still kind of figuring it out, but yeah.
You're in good space now.
Yeah.
So you came a long way.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah, good kid. You're critical.
And there's one thing too. When I was in that hospital, when I, the substance and stuff, I was a little bit out of my body, so I had a really spiritual experience, found my higher power. Like when you go to rehab, the thing they emphasize is you got to find something bigger than yourself, and I have no doubt in my mind that we have a purpose, and it seems hard because there's so many people. You feel real small, but yeah, we do, and usually our purpose is the immediate people in our lives. Like when my dad was gone and my mom was a single mother having problems with relationships or whatever, my stepdad, I was always going to grandpa's house, and he just always gave me that love. And there was one thing he'd always tell me. He'd raise out his hand and go, "Nobody," and I'd finish the sentence. I'd say, "Loves me like Dida." He goes, "That's right." So Dida was always my angel, and my grandma.
It's really cool to have all three of you share parts of your life in one podcast. And Hunter, I got to say, that's pretty eloquent.
Thank you.
You're very eloquent.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for talking a little about Nick too. In our industry, he, like the Mavar family in general,
And Nick loved you too, to fish like him.
So
He was with him when Nicky fall down.
oh, were you there with him? Yeah. Yep.
That was last year.
Anything else that you'd like to share?
Play some guitar if we have.
I do play guitar a little bit, but I was gonna say I'm kind of the new generation, so I just noticed this. It's like fishing. My head is very more calculated. The last 2 years. I mean, fishing can change your life, but a lot of people are. I feel like it also, can be traumatizing. It's just not having sleep. Like it always takes me about a month when I get back into my rhythm and stick to my values and keep it simple. But getting all that money at once, and it's easy to it's hard to kind of manage your finances and whatnot. But if you can find a way to fish and keep it simple and take care of your mental health, it can change your life.
Can you see yourself continuing to be a fisherman for
I love the bay. We'll see about the future, but
You did good
I'm
last
pretty-
year.
I'm pretty athletic. I think I can be a deckhand for a while, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd do without that opportunity, you know. So thank you, Nick. I know you can hear me, and
Yeah, good on guitar. I told you, we played Beethoven, Mozart, and he does. He's really good on guitar.
All right. Okay, Mavars, thanks for all three of you taking the time
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
to share your story. Really appreciate just the 3 generations. And when you think about it, you would be what you'd call the third, right? But actually, you're probably the fourth because
his
Right.
dad.
his dad fished.
Yeah.
And he gave it to his community.
Right.
So fishermen men,
Mm-hmm.
the Mavars.
And also, me and Ditta were talking the other day about the simplicity of Croatia, and you know, that's where we come from. So I feel like it's in kind of our DNA. You know,
Have you been?
I haven't, but
No.
we were talking
Johnny
about maybe
was
going
there
next
last
You
year.
need to get going.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, just a thanks out to Extra Tough, our sponsor. Appreciate them for supporting our show. Appreciate all of you for supporting the show and listening, sharing. Visit our gear store if you like. The Maybar's all got new shirts today. So until next time, guys, we'll see you then. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Galley Stories. We hope you like what the net brought in. Please leave us a review on iTunes. Whether you like it or not, we're not fishing for compliments. Look us up on Facebook and Twitter too, and reach out to us at galleystories@gmail.com.